Q&A. We have been asking you guys to submit questions on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. Submit your question. We'll get to it. Or email the Oklahoma Breakdown at gmail.com. Submit your question, and we will try our best to get to it. This first one comes from Ian Hughes, and he says, I was wondering if you guys will get a little into the weeds on what sort of things we're going to see next season. With a completely new defensive staff and the new offense, I've been wondering what it's going to look like next year. Cheers, guys, and I love listening to you guys. Thank you all for taking the time to read this, even if it doesn't make an episode. Well, it made it, Ian, and they've seen a little glimpse of it now, right, with the spring game. But as far as offensively, Ted, Jeff Lebby, you're going to see this team go fast, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is going to be tempo. They're going to run the football a lot more than people may think, right? He had a very effective running game at Ole Miss the last couple of seasons, and you're going to see more zone blocking. And it's not necessarily inside zone. It's not necessarily outside zone. It's what I call mid zone. And that is the staple running play of Lebby's offense. And you're going to see a ton of different variations of split zone off of that, meaning a tight end or another back in the backfield coming across the back of the formation to create that split action to change the responsibilities of the defense from a gap perspective. As far as the passing game, you're going to see him push down the field. There's going to be a lot of RPO stuff where Dylan Gabriel is reading the defenses, whether that's reading a backer or reading a safety. That will be his key, what he does with the football, whether he hands it or he gives it. He'll also be reading the shell of the secondary. If it's too high, he'll hand it. If it's one high, he may be throwing it to a certain guy. And then they're going to throw some deep balls. So did I miss anything? That's just a very general outline of what they're going to do offensively, but I feel like I covered the main points.
Yeah, no, that is a really good rundown. Just one of the things that you'll notice is you will have tighter splits from your offensive line across the line of scrimmage and wider splits from your wide receivers. And a lot of times it's 2-by-2, and utilize the entire field, spread everyone out, condense the inside, spread out the outside. And from that, it makes it easier to do all the things that you're talking about as far as, seeing where the safeties are. And they'll throw, and it's a matchup driven offense. They will find the matchup that they like, and they will absolutely exploit it. They'll throw a bubble. They'll throw go balls on a guy if they like the matchup. That's one of the things that they're going to come to the line of scrimmage, see what matchup they like, and that's where they're going with the football. It's methodical, but it's not an easy system to learn. There's a lot going on, but in its like implementation and the way it comes across on the field, it's very simple and fast.
Yeah, that is, I think that's one of the misconceptions of Lebby's system is that it's easy. It's not easy. There's a lot that the quarterback has to process. So hopefully that was good enough offensively. Ian, Ted, best of luck describing what BV is going to do defensively. Good luck.
He's going to do everything defensively. I think that's a way to put it. On the defensive line, you're going to see quite a bit of traditional 4-man down and true defensive ends, true inside players. But it is going to be multiple. They're going to do 3-man front stuff. They're going to do with a jack or a spinner, however you call it, with a stand-up edge guy, 3 down and a stand-up edge guy. So you'll see multiple fronts there. I think you'll see some bear out of them as well.
Meaning sometimes we got to remember, we got to describe some things, a little more detail. Bear meaning 5 defensive linemen, guy head up on the guard, 2-3 techniques, or guy head up on the center, 2-3 techniques on the guard, and then 2 defensive ends on the edges of the tackles. Bear.
and depending on what the personnel grouping is that you're playing it against, if it's spread personnel or 11 personnel, because you don't have 5 defensive linemen, they'll kick over and the Mike backer will come up and play the edge to the strong side. So that gives you your 5 across. If it's bigger personnel, you'll have bigger personnel in there on the field to match for short yardage and goal line stuff. At the backer spot, something that's going to be way different is way more involved in zone coverage. Venables is a way bigger zone scheme than he is man to man. And, you know, previously we did a lot of man, and a lot in our zone stuff. Our linebackers were spot droppers, which means you get back to a landmark, you have your eyes on the quarterback, you move with the quarterback's eyes, and then you break on the football whenever he throws it. Venables is a pattern read. So you'll drop off of the eligible receivers. You'll be a hook off of number 3, which means you drop to the number 3 receiver, have your eyes on him, see the pattern, and try to fit into where the pattern scheme is. It's a lot more detailed. You're asking a lot more of the guys, but when done properly, way more effective. We'll see some 3 safety stuff that we've seen, like from Iowa State, what they do, where they have the 3 safeties on the back end. You're going to get a little bit of everything, you know, and everyone wants to know, how much are you going to blitz? All of that depends on how well you cover and how well you get to the quarterback. If you can't cover, you can't blitz. If you can't get to the quarterback, you can't add a guy to the rush. And like, if it's not, I guess what I mean is you can't get to the quarterback when you rush. If it's not effective, you're not going to continue to take a guy out of coverage. So a lot of that is going to depend on how well that trends during the season. But you'll see a lot off of the nickel or the cheetah player, which is either a nickel or a hybrid backer that's going to be playing in space. That guy's going to be able to do everything. And that's going to be the cornerstone of the defense if you can find a player there. And that's one of the spots where we've been lacking recently. We've had some solid guys there. I don't mean to say that we haven't, but if you can find a superstar that plays that position, it changes your defense. Think Jalen Petrie from Baylor. Think Isaiah Simmons for Clemson whenever Venables was at Clemson and he won the Butkus Award. Guy played every position. So a guy like that can ultimately change the way your defense plays.
Hope that was in the weeds enough for you, Ian. I hope our man Ian took notes on that.